Welcome to Fabulosity For You, and my name is Angie. If this is your first time visiting my channel, please click the subscribe button, then click the notification bell so when I upload videos, you will be the first to know. Like this video and make a comment. This channel is about fashion, relationship advice, and lifestyle. And if this is not your first time visiting my channel, well, welcome back, my queens, and welcome to the kings out there. Before we begin, I just want to say, please subscribe to my channel. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I am trying to get 2,000 subscribers, and I need your help to do that. So it will really be greatly appreciated if you would just click that button and subscribe to my channel. So today is Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, and it is Ratchet Wednesday, and I will be doing the review of the 90-Day The Single Life, Season 4, Episode 8, Chantel Gets a Taste. Okay, guys, so let's get right into it. So, it started off with Chantel. Honey, we haven't seen Chantel in a month of Sundays. She was on this episode, and it showed her and her friends. They were getting into the car, and she was just all through the car ride. She was talking about Yanni's. And he had invited her and her friends to a festival in his hometown. And she was so excited to see him. She was like, you know what, to her friends, I could possibly move to Greece. It has beautiful beaches. It's just a beautiful town. I could possibly move here. She said, I just really enjoyed myself the last time I saw him. We just cuddled and kissed, and oh my God, we made out in the water, in the sand, and we just had salty kisses. I can't wait to see him. And I'm going to find out if this is just a fling or could it possibly be more than that. So they reach their destination, and he immediately sees them come in, and he shows them to his table. And her friend was like, what is all of this? Even Chantel was like, it's so many people. And her friend was like, what kind of festival is this? I mean, it was like music playing, people was eating, people were dancing, and they were really enjoying themselves. So he said, well, this is a festival where people come and they cook snails and people eat snails. And so Chantel was frowning up, and she was like, I do not like snails. You mean to tell me all of these people are here to eat snails? As soon as she sat there, honey, they put a big old plate of snails right in front of her. And he already had, Giannis had his snails already in front of him. And so he said, come on, try it. And so she did want to try it, but her friend was like, just try one. And she was like, she tried it. She said, oh my God, it tastes like snot. It's so slimy. And he was looking at her like, okay. And so he went talking to his friends that were sitting next to him. He was just steady talking with his friends, looking at his phone and stuff. He really wasn't paying Chantel any attention. And Chantel felt a certain way about that. And she tells her friend, he's not even paying attention to me. And her friend said, I know. So she said, hey, can I have a kiss? And so he was looking at her like, not really, but he reached over the table and he gave her a peck. And she was dissatisfied. She was like, is that all I get? That's a weak kiss. And she said in the confessional, I'm just disappointed because I thought he would be all over me. He was like that the last time I saw him. But my thing is this. They're at a public place where people are eating. he's across the table. It will be kind of hard to be smooching and having his arms all around her and kissing her all every minute at a table. So I think she needed to slow down with that one. But she was like, "Do we? Hey!" And he was looking. He said, "Do we?" She said, "Do we have any chemistry? Do you think we have chemistry?" And he was like, "Yeah, we do have chemistry. I like to take my time, but you got to go. You're leaving tomorrow." And so, honey, he went back talking with his friends. And so Chantel told her friend, she said, "He is really not paying me any attention. And so why should I be here?" And her friend said, "I'm glad you said that." And so she said, "He don't like me no more." And I just kind of laughed because it reminded me of the movie Baby Boy, when Henson had said, "He don't love me no more." He don't love me no more. But she said, "He don't like me no more." And so I thought that was funny. And so they decide that they're going to leave. Now, I think that he was acting like that because their time is over with. They made out. He's not moving to America. She know doggone well she not moving to Greece. And he's just not into long distance relationships like that. He's a good looking man. He sees beautiful women all the time. He's on, I guess, the football team or something out there. And so they had their time. He's like, to the next. He said next. But I don't know. Perhaps when she gets up to leave, will he try to say, "Don't go, I want to spend more time"? Or do you think he's just going to let her go? We don't know, but we'll find out next week. So next, we're going to talk about John. Okay, so John and his girlfriend Megan are in the car. They had just had dinner with his brother Patrick and his wife. We talked about it last week. And so John, he's uneasy in the car. He's embarrassed. He said, "I'm sorry. I did not know that my brother would say those things." And so she said, "Well, yeah, that was a bit much." And she said, "But what worries me is that he said that you didn't want any children. And I want more children. And so that's really a deal breaker for me. A deal breaker for me. Do you want children, John?" And he was like, "Well, when we was getting together, talking about getting together, we talked about me being a father figure to your daughter River, and I don't have any problems with that. We never did talk about whether you wanted more children. And so I love you. And if children is what you want, I think it's a possibility I could change my mind. I'm not going to set it in stone that, hey, I don't want kids." And so she said, well, that made her feel better. She said, "Well, I'm glad to hear that." And she said in the confessional that sometimes when people find the right person, they may change their mind about children. I think it'll take some time, but we'll just have to wait and see. So she said, "I still have a lot of questions that are unanswered. Like, are you going to move with me or not?" And he was like, "Well, I need to really think about that." So he said, I need a drink because today was terrible. Would you like a drink?" And she said, "Well, yeah, I could use a drink." So he said, "Well, let's go get one drink." So they get to the bar, and once again, she's saying it again. "Hey, I need to know something. I need to know, we've been together for 5 months. I need to know, are we going to move together? I need to know that, because if not, I don't see how this is going to work." So John was like, listen, don't give me no ultimatums, okay? I already had a bad day today. I don't need no ultimatums. I have to think about things. It's scary to me. And she said, well, I'm scared too. So he said, and I'm scared, so this is not something I'm going to take light or just, hey, I'm going to do it. This is something I have to think about. And so you need to give me my time and let me think about it. And once I make a decision, I will let you know. So basically, he was telling her, hey, push back, fall back. I don't need all of this right now. And so he's right. Moving in with someone and then they have a child with disability, and then he knows now that she wants more children. It's scary. And for her, she needs to get to know this man well, because she has a daughter. And they have not seen each other a lot. They've been talking on the phone. So I don't blame John for taking his time. So the next day he takes her to the airport, and they're in the car riding, and she says that, well, he reassured her that he loved her and he is going to think about things and he just needs some time. And so in confessional, she was saying that John's brother Patrick and his wife, really, the things that they said was some red flags to her, and she needs to think about things. And I think she should, because I didn't like how Patrick and his wife just busted him out like that. I didn't think it was their place, but they were being real. I mean, they was telling her the truth. And this woman don't really know him like that. And so to me, if somebody's family member is talking about you like that, the negative things, and it's in front of your face, then it must be true. And so that's a big red flag. When people's family say, hey, he's not ready to get married. Hey, he's a party person. Hey, he's act like a child. You need to pay attention, because 9 out of 10 they're telling the truth. Now, do I think John will move with Megan? I think so, because his other brother wants him to get out the house. As he's been living there, and he's been living there too long, because it was only supposed to be for a few weeks, and now it's a few months. So I think he probably will move with her. But do I think it's really going to make it? Do I think they're really going to make it? I don't think so, because John's a party boy. John is immature. And I kind of agree with Patrick when he said, his brother Patrick, when he said that, hey, I don't really think you're in love. I think you're in lust. I think you guys have a strong chemistry. Chemistry. I think you guys have a strong chemistry, and I think you guys are really attracted to each other. But is it love? No. And I'm going to have to agree with him, because most of the time he was saying they always spend their time in bed. They have great chemistry. I only saw them one time outside of the bed. Maybe twice when she visited outside of the bed. And so the bottom line is they have not seen each other that many times. So they, to me, connected in the bed, but I don't think in that relationship there was a part of the relationship that they actually became friends and talked and laughed and this and that. It was mostly in the bedroom, from what I see. But I guess we just have to wait and see next week. So let me rewind it. So he drops her at the airport. She gets out the car. They hug. And then John gets back in the car, drives off, and guess what? His car starts smoking. And he's like, oh my God, what else can go wrong today? And so he had to get the tow truck and get his car towed. I kind of felt sorry for John, but it is what it is. So next we're going to go to Veronica. So Veronica and Jamal are in the car. They just came back from dinner with Tim and Louisa. And right away, Jamal jumps in and says, listen, what was that about? You and Tim made me and Louisa feel very uncomfortable when he asking you, well, how do I usually get my steak cooked, Veronica? And then you're like, would you like me to order your food? And I'm like, who does that? That's just weird. You two are just weird, you guys' relationship. And she was like, well, yeah, I do know that it's weird, but this is what it is. And so he said, and then what was that all about? That you speaking in Spanish and we don't know what you talking about? And she said, well, because she speaks Spanish and she felt uncomfortable speaking English and wanted me to speak Spanish. And all I was doing was reassuring her. Exactly. Is it your job to reassure 10 women what they should do and how they should be? Is that your job to make them comfortable, Veronica? And she said, well, you don't know me by now. That I like to make people around me feel comfortable. He said, but that's like being his handler. And she was like, oh my God. And she started kind of raising her voice at him. And then he was like, can you stop raising your voice at me? You're treating me like a child. And so then he said, and another thing that I didn't like is you telling him, you were scared to tell him that we're in a committed relationship. What was that all about? Why would you be scared? And she said, well, I just didn't want to hear his mouth. But first of all, is it really his business? And so she said, the same way you tell your mother things, I tell Tim. Hold up. You're not going to compare my mother to Tim. Now, you're not going to do that because you had sex with this man and my mama changed my diapers. No way is that relationship the same. No way is that relationship the same. And then you talking in Spanish. And she said, well, I talk in Spanish because she wanted me to talk in Spanish. And he said, it's not even about you talking in Spanish. It's really about you trying to calm her down and it's trying to make her comfortable with Tim. And that's not your job. He said, let me tell you something. You guys going to have to set some boundaries because if you can't set no boundaries, relationship is not going to work. So by this time, they reached the house and they still arguing. She said, and for you to say, because I yelled at you, I'm treating you like a child, that's not treating you like a child. He said, well, first of all, you don't have no business raising your voice at me. And so she was like, I could do whatever I want to do. And honey, he was like, listen, Veronica, do you want me to just go and get in a hotel room tonight? She said, I don't give a what you do. I was like, oh, wow. But Veronica was highly upset, honey. And she went off on Jamal. Now, what I'm going to say about this is, I don't agree with Veronica. I think there should be some boundaries. Her daughter is 16 years old. He don't have to do everything with Veronica. They just too close to each other where it's affecting relationships. I don't know no man that will put up with that. And if it was the other way around, I don't know no woman that will put up with that. And so it should be some boundaries. It should definitely be some boundaries. And she had no business yelling at him like that. And he was asserting himself by letting her know that. The bottom line is this Jamal is 28 years old. I think she's 37 years old. She is too grown for this young man. She needs her a real man that's an older man that has something to offer her and her child. It's a lot of women that have sex with men and then create a relationship afterwards with that. When actually the sex was good. So keep it to the bedroom. She should have never started dating him like that. She should have just hooked up with him whenever she wanted to. And that was it. But he's not relationship material because he's too young for her. But he has some very valid points. So I think that Jamal really don't want to be with her like that. I think that he's not going to move to her city. He's not ready to be a father figure. And I don't think he cares if if she don't talk to him ever in life. But we don't know. So is he going to stay at the house with Veronica, or is he going to get a hotel? Are they going to break up? I don't know. We have to keep watching to see what unfolds. Okay, so next we're going to talk about Miss Debbie. So Miss Debbie, it really wasn't too much going on this week. She was on her second date with Ruben the Cuban. They were in his car driving and they were having some conversation. And he said, I'm going to take you to my house and I want you to meet my father. He says he's the caretaker of both mother and father. And he said that that's the most important thing to him right now. It's his parents and taking care of them. But he likes the way this relationship is going. He really does like Miss Debbie. And he was just letting her know, if we were to get closer, you're going to have to move to Miami. And so they get to his house, and Miss Debbie in confessional is like, oh my God, I'm 67 years old, but I am still afraid to meet somebody's parents. They look at you like, oh, so you gonna be in our family? Especially after Osama meeting his parents. Okay, yeah, Osama parents was gonna look at you crazy, girl, because Osama was in his 20s. So what you think? Of course that was gonna happen. But she was to her relief. She was very relieved when she met his father, and it wasn't anything big. And she thought he was a nice guy. They go in his backyard, Ruben's backyard, and they just sit in the backyard, and he's just telling her about how his mother has cancer, and she just went to the hospital yesterday, and how his priority is taking care of his parents. And he just mentioned again, if we was to take things to another level, I would need you to move to Miami. And Miss Debbie really was like, if I was to move to Miami and I was to tell my son that, he will lose his mind. And she said, I don't know about moving again. I had just went out to Osama's country and it turned out bad. So I don't think Miss Debbie is really wanting to move, but we don't know what's going to happen. We just got to keep watching this program and see what unfolds. Last but not least, we're going to talk about Natalie. So last week, Natalie goes to the restaurant to meet Josh. She gets there and she's like upset. She started crying. She started telling Josh that he's just not giving her enough, that she can't see him for the holidays. This relationship is just not working out. She moved there so they can be closer, so she can have more time with him, and he's not giving her more time. So he was like, I'm sorry, Natalie. I really tried. She was like, tried? Did you try to let me come over to your house? Did you try to let me meet your children? No, Josh, you really haven't tried. And he was talking, I really do care for you. And he was like, she said, no, Josh, quit talking, okay? Don't make me say nothing. Just quit talking, because Josh, you don't love me. You don't love me. You don't really want to be. You don't want to be with me the way I want to be with you. And I've been dating you for a year. I can't keep doing this. I told you from the beginning I wanted a family, and I know you don't. You don't want a family with me, Josh. You don't want me, Josh. And I sit and I try to understand why, but you just don't want me, Josh. So I just don't want to see you no more. And he tried to muster up some tears, but he couldn't. And he was trying to look sad, but in his eyes, he looked relieved. Like, it's a relief. And he just said, I really do care for you. I really do. But I can't give you what you want. I gave you a car. I put you in an apartment. I introduced you to people. I got you a job. I did all I could do, and that's just not enough. And that's all I had to give. So she was like, Josh, this is over. So she hugs him goodbye. She said, God bless you. She walks out, and then she hugs a tree. Oh my God, she hugged the tree. She's crying. And then she said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know anybody out here. I don't have any friends. I don't know. I just me and my mom. I don't know what I'm going to do. And honey, she went to the sidewalk and sat on the curb and started crying. And I'm like, oh my God. So that's the end of Josh and Natalie. I think that I would have waited a while. I mean, he just gave you the car and all of that. You were supposed to go read for his friend for a role in a movie. I personally would have waited a minute. But, hey, her mother had put a bug in her ear and was like, hey, he couldn't even pick you up from the airport. You can't even go to his house. He don't even let you meet his children. You need to drop that zero and find you a hero. And so I just hope it all works out for Natalie. And so what will happen to Natalie? What is going to happen to Natalie? I think Natalie will be okay. But we have to just wait and see. So that's all I have today. I hope you enjoyed the review. And thank you for watching my channel.